Hello, Kulkarni Law Firm. I've got Darshan and myself here today, and this is the inaugural, if you will, of a series that we're putting together that we're excited. So, unbeknownst to us, we discovered somewhat actually at Save Our Sites when we were together and talking to clients, friends, associates, and networking that we already knew we disagree, collegially, of course, on different approaches, different risk profiles, different ways to satisfy clients' needs. And we love that. We think that brings a lot of variety and diversity into how we practice. This is all about having different roles and the same goals. We're doing a fantastic webinar live April 28th focused on sponsors and how you can prevent and detect fraud in your research. Heaven forbid you're unable to prevent it. So, Darshan, start with how you would approach this. I'm very curious to hear.
So I think the first part, Edie, I want to reiterate what you said, which is I think we both come at it from here are the core principles. Here is the basics of what we all agree needs to be discussed. I think you and I, just like anyone else in any industry, we come at it with our own knowledge bases, with our own biases. So just because one of us says something's right doesn't mean it's right. Having said that, I'm right. But
It's okay. We let him believe that.
exactly. She does play along. Edie comes at it from the look, I've led an entire clinical trials program. I've been part of major universities and helped them guide them through the process. She is the person to talk to when it comes to ORI. She is the person to talk to when it comes to a lot of FDA stuff. I come at it from a overall sponsor, CRO, site viewpoint, but with the angle of, okay, here's what the DOJ, OIG, OCR, ORI, FDA, they're coming from. So we both have compliance viewpoints, but influenced differently. The goal of a good lawyer is not to go, here are your problems. It's here are your problems and here's a possible solution.
Because we are a minority, and by that I mean, there's just not a lot of attorneys that focus their practice in this space for their duration of their practice, right? And because early on in my career, admittedly at academia, I was put in several positions where I had to go out and educate people. So I began to be very not the attorney in the room, even though I am, right? And you're much better at being the attorney in the room and not having any fear about it, not worrying as much about will people be scared or overwhelmed. At least from a presentation perspective, I got much more into how can we make this something you won't openly sleep through? How can I sound a little less lawyerly and a little more like one of the people?
So the reason that we're doing this video is because you and I had this battle 2 days ago where you were
Yes.
like, no, you need to change what you're doing. And I was like, no, I like what I'm doing, which I think is a good thing. It speaks to
Oh, I
number one,
agree.
being mindful
Yeah.
of she has a story to tell. And she was like, why are you not telling a story? And I'm going, I'm not here to tell a story. I'm here to educate. And what I've come to realize is our target audiences. So for example, based on my own practice, my target audience tends to be lawyers, they tend to be compliance folks, they tend to be CEOs who have faced the problem. They already know the basics. They're not there to be educated on what the basics. They're going, I need the answer. Can you give me the answer? Because I don't have time to
Hmm.
waste. You're coming
Hmm.
at it from a almost that in-house perspective of people are falling asleep. I need to get you up to compliance. I need you to get you ready. So we're almost like a really good tag team of like you lead in, I sort of if you don't
Close.
prep me, I can't hit it out of the park. If I can't hit it out of the park, you've just got the basics. So that
Right.
tag team part of it is what makes this, I think, is going to be a really great conversation because we
I do too. This is why you and I talk through things and are very intentional about how we do things for exactly that reason. Because I want to make sure the audience even has the context of like what is going on recently? Why did you pick this topic? Like, and why does this matter? And for me, I'm thinking about some of the difficulties in these cases that come, admittedly, with my ops background. of an actual detection. Like, is there root causes, for example? And this is something I was thinking about when we were going back and forth about this 2 days ago, is things like feasibility assessment from the sponsor's perspective. Are there pieces of that at a granular level that, if incorporated, could have detected or prevented, right? Now, that's not something you're going to necessarily hear from the DOJ at that higher level. It's probably not something you're going to get into. But for me, when I look at this, I'm thinking, that is the first place I'm going to go, is where did my story start? Where did
Right.
my story start?
Right.
Right. And it started there. And really, probably even before that, who am I hiring to do my feasibility? Who am I hiring to be CRAs? Because a lot of our sponsors and CROs use contract CRAs. I get it. I understand. I mean, we're part of the gig economy. We totally understand. Having said that, are they trained on your company policies? Are they doing it your way? How are they, what is their payment incentive to detect this fraud? How are they trained on that? Are you sure that that's something that's in their wheelhouse? Because we see a lot of issues with that in the industry. So some of those really early operational steps that aren't maybe in the DOJ playbook officially, right? But are the implementation of what the DOJ is expecting you to have done, is where I start to kind of get those folks in the room who are at a more granular level going, okay, all right, this makes sense. I track, like, I could do this. And also, I understand why you're asking this of me. I think that's a piece of it for me. I
Yeah.
always felt like I cannot quote any data. I'm sure you will, and I'm sure you're right. Um, but admittedly, I always felt like if I could get a room of folks who were otherwise, required to come to my compliance chat, right?
And we can sort of close this, but overall, I think what we're really saying is you're aiming for the 101, 201 crowd is what you're aiming for. 201, 301 is the crowd I'm aiming for.
Yep.
And that's not to say that we couldn't switch sides easily.
Oh
It's
yeah.
more that's just
It's just that's our style. That's our
correct. That's our
style.
style.
Right. But I think this is a good chance too to survey the audience and ask.
Love it. Edie, thanks again. Where can people reach you?
So you can always reach us on our website, kulkarnilawfirm.com. We're both very prevalent on LinkedIn under Edie Edens and Darshan Kulkarni. We also have multiple Kulkarni Law Firm pages on LinkedIn. And then we have emails. So Edie at kulkarnilawfirm.com. And of course, Darshan at kulkarnilawfirm.com.
Call, click, or email.